Yeah, welcome to Fitzgerald, Georgia, and the Georgia Red Shed. That's my dog, Sweetie. Over here is a wood rack I just built. Sweetie does a neat little trick here. I'll show you right quick if she cooperates. Come here. Come. Come on, jump up. Hey, hey. Come on, jump up. Come on, get up there. Come on. Look at that. Come on, Snoopy dog. Isn't that cute? Looking around. Where's the squirrels? All right, come on. All right, so this right here is a pile of wood, some maple, some pecan. There's a pretty big old pecan tree that was cut down. Actually, it blew down in Hurricane Irma here in Georgia. I got to sit down here and split all this mess and put it all to stack it all nice and neat. This over here, those long pieces of firewood looking stuff that's what's not going to be a Windsor chair. The grain moves around too much and it's too curvy. This piece here has a kind of a burl on it. We'll see if I can't do something with that. I've never tried to turn a bowl before, but well, I got that piece of burl, so it's worth a shot. And this is the red shed. Made that door out of heartwood pine. This siding is actually heartwood pine. This shed started off as a gardening shed with that corrugated plastic all around it. It's a little too small for what I wanted, so I added on to it, made it a little bit bigger. And here we are inside. Turn a couple of lights on here. You gotta be careful. I stepped out of here for, well, I guess I was out of here for about a day or so. And I came back, and there's this little itty bitty bird built a nest right up there amongst my planes. So I'm not going to get over there too much and mess them, scare them. That's an arm for a Continuous Arm Windsor chair. That's a horse's head that I'm working on for a rocking horse. There's the first and only barrel that I've ever made. There are some more arms for the chairs. Got them tied off so they don't unbend. There's a head for a swan. Those are some patterns. The big oval white one is a pattern for a swan. It's called a canvas over wire swan. It's really nice looking when it gets done. The boards there, they're going to be the seats for some Windsor chairs. I got to glue those together and plane them down nice and flat. These are the spindles, soon to be. And there's a couple that are made back in there. These are for the Windsor chairs. This is the last bit of wood that I split out of that pecan tree I just showed you. Some of it is kind of wavy, but there are some of the spindles that are only about 11 inches long, so I'll get some of those out of that. In that bucket that I also make are some other spindles in the process of cleaning them up and smoothing them down. You really can't do that work unless you have one of these things. It's a shaving horse. I think I've had this one. I made this one a good 20 years ago. Well, if you don't know how one of these things works, I'll show you. You have your work in there, and then down here is this pedal. And as you push down on that thing, it clamps really good. And it's like the harder you push, the harder your foot goes against that pedal. And then you use a draw knife. So the neat thing about the draw knives is you find these things in antique stores, and the neat thing about a draw knife is it might be in an antique store and it may have got nicked up and everything, but it's basically just every bit of good today as it was the day that they made it. Up here are some rings that I use when I go to make buckets. These are the sizing rings that I put the staves in and hold them together till I get a real good measurement for the actual ring. Here's my first chair that I attempted making. Jenny Alexander had a video for that, and I got along pretty well in it, and then at the very end I just kind of messed up and just wrapped it all up. I didn't want to burn it or anything because I put a lot of work in it. It's hickory. That's pretty hard stuff there to do, but that's gonna hang there probably forever. Back to talking about buckets. This is a trip hammer that I have made. I'll put my foot in this thing down here, and because what I have to do is the metal bands that I use to make the hoops or the rings for the buckets, you have to pound one side of it so that when you bring it together, it forms a cone that will fit the bucket. Let's see. There's a small steam box. Actually, not a steam box anymore. I use it for a small kiln to dry the chair legs. The top one there, I don't know if you can see it very well. That long thing, that's the steam box that I use to bend the arms. That arm there is what you call a mistake. That's what happens when you take it out of the form too soon. Over time, that thing just keeps on straightening out, straightening out. This is my workbench. There's a chair seat on there. So in Irwinville, Georgia, there was this old house, and they tried to, I guess, save it. Try to do a fixer-upper on it, and it was pretty much too far gone. I later found out that the whole bottom of it was eaten up with termites. But these are huge sills that were underneath there, and I was only able to get one of them out. Well, this sucker must have been like 25 foot long, and I was able to put a chain on it, just pull it straight out. You know, at that point in time, the house was just a big pile of rubble. All the boards and everything were messed up pretty bad. But I've always wanted to have one of these kind of workbenches, so I made one. And I'll tell you what, this thing is solid. Here's all my tools. All my tools, all hand tools. You'll see a drill here every once in a while. That's pretty much there in case I got to do some other little things, odds and ends, but not so much in the woodworking. There's more tools up there. Clamps. You know, I keep telling my wife and daughter I can never have too many clamps, and they haven't quite caught on to that yet. But there's always hope. There's a couple saws that I've made, and amazingly, I actually like using that saw because it's very efficient, very controllable. It'll rip. It'll rip through a board very easily. I like that a lot. Over here is a cool tool. This is a spring pole lathe. Let me show you how this thing works if you don't know how the spring pole lathes work. So years ago, there was these guys called bodgers, and they'd go out in the woods and they'd cut down trees and make the chair parts right out there in the woods. And what they'd get is a sapling, and they'd bend it over, and they'd have this portion here on a wagon that they'd take out with them, and they'd set it up. And the sapling they'd pull over, and they'd tie a string onto one end, like up here, and it goes down and around the work, and then attaches to a pedal down here. So the cool thing about this is, set that down. It's kind of hard to do this one-handed. Right. So as I push down the pedal, the arm goes up and down, and it turns that wood. The thing about this is a piece of maple. Maple's really, really hard wood. When they use a spring pole lathe, like I said, they go out in the woods and cut a tree down. The tree was green. If I put a piece of green wood on there, and my tools are sharp enough, the wood peels off pretty much like peeling a potato. It's a lot of fun. But maple I had cut down years before, and it had dried. And so I tried to do it on the spring pole lathe here, and I did not turn that piece on here. I turned that on my electric lathe, but all it does is just makes little bits of sawdust. It doesn't turn very nice, and it turns pretty rough actually. Here's one that I turned on here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's just kind of rough. Anyway, it doesn't work well, so I'm looking forward to cutting down my next maple tree and getting on this thing while it's green. That way I can brag about doing a Windsor chair completely the old-fashioned way, which is, yeah, I don't know, just something I want to do. I can't really be around a lot of dust, even though you'd think it's really dusty in here. This is a dirt floor with all my shavings. And it is, but it's not a lot in the air. You start working with the power tools and it kicks up a bunch in the air. So, this is the Red Shed. It's in Fitzgerald, Georgia. Right now we're in the midst of our chicken festival. We got wild chickens that run around Fitzgerald, and each year we have a wild chicken festival, and all day long people have been flying in the airplanes right over the airport over there and jumping out and parachuting. It's kind of cool. Stand in your backyard and watching all these parachutes open. This is my garden. And now I gotta go find my dog. Well, look, thanks for visiting. I made this site here for other folks who are into making things by hand and kind of saving the old crafts. So if you know of somebody, or if you yourself do it, just subscribe to this and tell a friend, and who knows, we can do a lot of cool things together. All right, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.